But yeah, so we'll go into a much more of a fun segment, so we don't remain doom and gloom for the rest of the podcast, and we'll bring back slap or sign.
Favorite time of the week. Let's go. Slapping people.
Exactly. So, Dave, slap or sign, can you please tell me from the NFC who you are going to slap this week and who you're going to sign? Let's start with a big slap.
Slap. There's only one man this can go to, in my opinion.
Go on.
It's not Dak Prescott. It's not Ezekiel Elliott, of whom I would gladly slap every day. It's Mason Crosby.
Kicker for the Packers. He needs a slap.
Yeah, and he missed. He missed 3 field goals, 2 of which could have been game-winning field goals.
Yeah, walk-off game winners in overtime.
Yeah. So the man had a mare. I mean, finally he hit one to win the game eventually, after the Bengals had also an opportunity to win the game. It was just a crazy game. I think that it kind of went. Obviously, it all went to overtime, and then in overtime, it went to sudden death, and that just seemed to continue because nobody could kick a field goal.
Yeah,
and it was. Well, I think it's a hangover from last week, was it? Where people couldn't kick them. It's just.
Yeah, we had some bad kickers last week, and then even worse this week. But both teams had chance to win multiple times in that overtime, and I've never seen anything like it.
No, and you can't. It's especially when you need to win games, because the first seed in the NFC and the AFC is so important, because you get that bye week when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah,
you can't afford to throw games away, and both teams threw it away numerous times for then the Packers to come back, kick it, and win.
It was just like the Packers, though. I mean, it was almost inevitable. I just thought, not because they deserved it, really. I mean, the Bengals played a class game against them, to be honest. Well. But it just felt like it. It's just the Packers luck in it. They're always lucky. They'll always win those types of games. It's frustrating. But the Bengals has got at least they've got a rookie kicker. You know, that was his first pressured moments in the NFL. Whereas that Crosby. He's been around the block. I mean, he looked old when he took his helmet off. He looked like the Crypt Keeper or something.
Yeah,
no wonder his leg can't make it.
He's a silver fox, that's for sure.
Okay, so you're slapping Mason Crosby then, and he absolutely deserves it for that many missed kicks. And who are you going to sign?
You might not be okay with this, but I'm going to sign Aaron Donald.
Fair play.
I know he injured your quarterback, but he injured your quarterback because he decimates offensive lines. He's double teamed more than any man in the NFL. He's not rushing off the edge, so he's not a TJ Watt or even a nickel Joey Bosa who are getting just one-on-one with the tackles. This man's going for a center and a guard, and he's bull rushing people. And there's not many people in the NFL that can do it. The man's an absolute force. It's what we're missing at the minute at the Giants. We've got no internal pass rush, and the man is a once in, I don't want to say he's once in a generation player, but he's definitely one of the best defensive players that ever played the game.
Absolutely, yeah, no debating it. I think he is absolutely more than once in a generation. I don't think you're going to see many of Aaron Donald's type player ever in the NFL. He's definitely already going to the Hall of Fame. He should already be sizing him up for a gold jacket. And yeah, fair enough. If you want to sign him, I mean, to have him on your team would be it's just a different level. Cool. So you signing him. What about the AFC? Who are you going to slap and who are you going to sign?
We've already spoke about him. He's a rookie. And it makes no odds to me. Your job's to kick a ball. Evan McPherson of the Bengals, 0 of 2 on field goals. You can't. And when both of those are to win the game, you've got to put him through. At one point, at the last one he did, he kicked it, hit the flag. They were all celebrating. He didn't even go through.
That was embarrassing, actually.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing because he turned around like, "Hey!" like he'd won the game, and I was like, "That's missed, mate."
Yeah, he needs to nip himself down to Specsavers after that game, I think, and just get a grip.
He's Jameis Winston's fella. Laser eye surgery.
Laser Jameis. But even as a rookie, your job is, you've got one job. Both of the balls are snapped well, they were held well. The mistakes lay with them, and they weren't even particularly long field goals. So no. You've got to be making. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that will get you dropped. That, like, you look at Cody Parker, he's bounced around ever since he's bounced off all the posts that in the playoffs that time. Mm-hmm. If you're not seen as a reliable kicker, you aren't going to be in the league long.
No, especially when it comes to, like, there's so many games at the moment that are just reliant upon those small margins of error, which are field goals and extra points. Like, both of us, Seahawks and Giants, have been at the hands of just kicks that have changed the course of a game. So yeah, it's definitely important. Okay, so he gets a slap, and then in the AFC, who do you sign?
Who do I sign? I sign Lamar Jackson. Daniel Jones has gone down. I won't go too much into Lamar Jackson because we're going to discuss that game. But he had the best game of his career so far. People were he had the reputation that he was just a glorified running back who could occasionally make some throws. He was 37 of 43 for throws. And he threw for over 440 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He brought them back from, like I said, I won't go too much into the game, but he brought them back from losing. Hell of a performance. And I think it was something like the highest percentage of completed passes while throwing for over 400 yards and no interceptions.
Yeah, he broke a record.
Yeah, and that's all he seems. He just seems to break records. If it's not with his feet, he can make them with his arm. You don't need to be Patrick Mahomes making all the flashy passes, as long as you're accurate and your wide receivers can catch the ball. You're in business in this league.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good sign. That's a very good sign in the AFC. Can't argue with that one either.
That's it. What about you? NFC, who are we going for? Are you going to slap?
Okay, so this name's been said now a number of times, and I am going to slap, and I would have to slap and run very, very fast, but I'm going to slap Aaron Donald.
Okay.
Just because he's injured my boy, like he's essentially, potentially, single-handedly ruined our chances at the playoffs this year.
Almost done his job.
Can't argue with the fact that his job is to literally pile through that line and destroy the quarterback. However, I'm not happy, obviously. There's no question about the fact that the tackle was legitimate. I'm not questioning any of that. I'm just pissed that, it had to force an injury on Russ. And Aaron Donald, he's that good. He is that good. So I'm not slapping him because he's shit, and I'm not slapping him, because I don't even, like him or respect him as a player. I do. But when you injure Russ and you injure one of my boys, you catch a slap, and that's the end of it. So he's catching a slap.
Make sure you got your running trainers on, because
I choose one of those hands on a stick and just hit him from like 4 yards away. Yeah, and then run very quick. He's probably faster than me, and he's massive.
Yeah. High five.
So I'd slap Aaron Donald, and then sign wise, I'm going to sign, and I'm surprised that this hasn't happened already, or I'm disappointed that this hasn't happened already. So again, this is directly related to the Seahawks' woes and issues. I'm going to sign somebody who's not on a team at the moment. I would sign Cam Newton.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so quarterback, most recently with the Patriots, but famous for being with the Panthers, famous for taking the Panthers to Super Bowl, famous for being the MVP of the entire league 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Is he that player anymore? No, he's not. Is he a free agent? Yes, he is. Could he be signed for minimal amounts of pennies? Probably so. Is he game ready? Yes, he is. Is Geno Smith the answer in Seattle? Absolutely not. He came on and played a very, very solid second half for the Seahawks, Geno Smith, and I'm not taking it away from him because he's starting against the Steelers tonight. When we play on Sunday, I've got every hope and my fingers are crossed in the world for Geno Smith. However, Cam Newton is a proven player who is just sat warming his nuts. Like he should be on the Seahawks roster now. If the fact that they've not gone out there and got him, to me, is just mental from a Seattle perspective. Go out and get a quarterback that can win you games or win 1 or 2, because he could win them on his own with his legs. You know, like he's that kind of quarterback. He could make things happen. Geno Smith potentially fits our scheme a little bit better. Okay, we wouldn't need to change the playbook. But at the same time, I'd be signing Cam Newton yesterday.
You missed one is in that whole thing. Cam Newton is the weirdest dressed bloke in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't care about that. He can wear a dress on the pitch.
Yeah, he is good, and I'll give you that. One thing I will say is when Daniel Jones went down last year, we had Colt McCoy, and he won games for us. And I think the one advantage you have for having someone like Geno Smith come in is nobody knows what he's going to do. So he could he's not Russ. The saying ain't let Geno cook, unless you're talking about Gino DeCampo. But he could potentially do some bits for you. And that's the advantage, I would say, as opposed to getting someone like Cam in. But you're completely right. Cam Newton sat there. What are the Dolphins doing? There's so many teams that he's better than their starting quarterback. Give the man a phone call.
Exactly. I even read that Colin Kaepernick gets up every day and trains like he's training for an NFL season. And even we worked him out 2 years ago, and Pete was really impressed with him, but just thought that bringing him as a backup to Russ was a dangerous move just because of it must have been what was going on with Colin Kaepernick, a couple of years ago, and not wanting to bring that sort of environment to the locker room. I'd have been all for it because I think he's a good bloke, and even him. But I'm rolling with Newton anyway. So that's my NFC slap and sign. My AFC will be so in the AFC I'm going to slap Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't probably tell you anybody who needs more of a slap in the NFL than him.
No, you might, but I mean, our defensive coordinator's up there, but yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs are almost rock bottom in defense, and you can't keep asking the Chiefs offense to do everything in a game. When they're firing on all cylinders, they maybe can, but you can't expect them to be like that. And Mahomes is making some errors, and Travis Kelce's not really been as big of a factor in the last few games for him either. Maybe teams are getting wise to how to cover. Maybe he's losing a step. I don't know. But, Mahomes is one man, and one man can do a hell of a lot. But Spagnuolo needs to get that defense rocking, because actually, look at the Chiefs defense. It is not terrible. They have got weapons in many different areas. Chris Jones, DT, top 3, maybe 4 defensive tackles in the NFL. He's phenomenal. He's done note. Frank Clark, ex-Seahawk, very good pass rusher, done absolutely zip. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, potentially the best free safety in the NFL, one of at least. They've got really good corners. Was it Ladarius Sneed, second-year corner who had an amazing year last year? They've got more than a lot of other teams. Why aren't they putting it together? So that comes down to me, to coaching. Bad play calling, putting your offense in a tough spot. Steve Spagnuolo, get ready for it's going to be a layeth the smacketh down with a big old spit on the last one. That's who I'm slapping.
Yeah, I agree. I will talk a little bit more about that when we cover the game, but
I suppose
don't want to give it all away here. But he does deserve a slap. There's a lot of defensive coordinators that deserve a slap at the minute. The Washington football team, their defense, meant to be this uber great defense, been nowhere. The Giants defense, which was great last year, been awful. Seahawks. Seahawks has been on Well, we'll cover that again later on, but they've gone from real good to real bad real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then finally, my sign of the week for the AFC will be Justin Herbert.
Oh, okay.
Quarterback for the LA Chargers. He's on the rise. This week he had potentially the game of his life in what was an electric game between the Browns and the Chargers. Potentially could be a candidate for game of the season. So many points, such a great game. But Herbert, he's really young. Came in the league last year. Looked like he had some mustard on his arm. Maybe just needed to refine a few things. This year he's refined a lot. He's come in. Seahawks need a quarterback. You know, if I can't get Seahawks to scramble to find Cam Newton, then I'd be going out and getting Justin Herbert. Obviously never going to happen, but that's who I'm signing because he looks like the real deal. And that division with Herbert and Mahomes looks like it'll be a division of the ages for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, he's great. He came into the league ready to rock. I think he played a lot of games in college, which has obviously helped him out. I'd say the difference between him and Mahomes at the minute, I'm not saying he's better than Mahomes at all, but they've both got huge, talented arms. One person's making mistakes, one person isn't. And that's the reason one team's 4-1 and the other's 2-3. Because Herbert's not needing his defense to bail him out because he's putting huge points up like the Chiefs are, but he's not turning the ball over, so he's not giving the other team, empty possessions that they wouldn't normally have. Yeah. So I think Herbert's a great choice. I nearly picked him. In fact, I did have him, but I crossed him out and then put Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson crossed my mind, but then actually I decided against it and went with a pure pocket passer because I just like the look of that big old Herbie at the moment. So that was slap or sign.